Hi, good morning. I'm Pamela Aaralyn. I'm a mystic who channels Christ conscious beings, and it's Thursday. Let's continue with this series, readings from A Course of Love. We are stopping for messages to be channeled through me from Jesus, one of my favorite Christ conscious beings. And, when I read this book, Course of Love, it is a oneness text, very sacred text. The author of it, Mary Perron, had a deep personal relationship with Christ consciousness, not just the being that you know of as Jesus, but, all the beings, from what I understand about it thus far, angelics, all sorts of beings. And she had it deeply impressed upon her heart to write this book and share his words to you, so she did. Just like A Course in Miracles is about undoing the mind, what A Course of Love does thereafter is sort of like a follow-up after you undo your mind. You have to kind of be initiated, prepared to do something that's outside of the realm of what the mind can actually grasp. It literally tries not to let you grasp living in love. And it's not used to truth because you're born into a world that sequesters you and in sort of produces this belief in separation, and then you spend your whole life, supporting the belief in separation. Not that separation is good or bad or right or wrong for you. That too is a support and belief in separation. However, when you realize the love that you are, which is what this course helped me to do. Not that it was an action, it was more of an epiphany, like, whoa, what? When you realize the love that you are, you begin to see everything through the energy of grace, which is the foundation of the miracle. And when you can do that, it is, a flow. Life is a flow, not a striving. And I learned right away that in order to perceive love, I had to stop being the doer. I had to stop saying, I'm doing it, when I thought I was a persona, a structure of psychology and physiology, mind and body, right? When you go through these texts, and then you have a being like Jesus there along the way, kind of deepening the love for you. It's just an incredible experience. So I thought I would share my experience and have him share with you as we go along in the way that he shared with me, and see if you like it. I haven't been channeling on YouTube in a very long time, and I wanted to talk to you a brief moment about that. So when I started this series, I thought, well, I'm just going to channel again how I want to channel and whoever wants to come through, and it happened to be Jesus, right? And the YouTube algorithm has been pretty locked down recently. They've been very scrutinizing and of who they want to show. So my algorithm isn't good anymore because I haven't been here a long time. So please make sure that if you want me to be able to have the support and views, and to click on that algorithm so that so that this channel can be supported, it's very, very, very helpful if you can subscribe and turn on your notification bell and support this work in that way. I would be so honored and so grateful if you would do that today. And if you have unsubscribed, just click resubscribe, no big deal. Egos are funny things, an ego will be like, I don't align to that today, right? So please, if you realign to this channel, resubscribe and do us the honor of supporting the channel so we can continue forth despite this horrendous algorithm that we're all struggling with to keep me on this channel. Otherwise, I'll just be on Vimeo and places where I know all of my patrons are, and I get the support, because here there's nothing to support the channel. It's just like very slim foundation and a lot of competition with a lot of different spiritual teachings that are not very oneness oriented, but they make you feel good in the moment. You know, the magic of New Age makes you feel good, and then when you turn it off, you go back to feeling bad, right? So this is not what this channel does. This channel helps you face yourself. It's not a magic wand. It helps you stop bypassing who you are. If you have emotions, you face them. If you have fears, you face them. It's not about killing your ego. It's about allowing the heart to be the master and the ego to be its loving servant, right? So that makes the mind very resistant to these teachings. You know, you'll be listening to it, and some days it'll hit you right, and other days you'll be like, I just don't want to do this course anymore because I don't feel good today. That's what ego does. When we identify with that feeling and we think that's who we are, then we won't do this course, right? But something will keep pulling you back. Listen to that something. The sacred oneness teachings are very, very difficult with the ego. It cracks you open, and it's hard, and it's worth it. All right, enough of that. Let's move on. Page 28, chapter 3 is where we are. If you're following along, it says in 3.10, everything has birth in an idea, a thought, a conception. Everything that has been manifested in your world was first conceived with the mind. While you know this is true, you continue to believe you are the effect, not the cause. And this is partially due to your concept of the mind. What you conceive it to be, it will be to you. While many teachings have attempted to dislodge this concept that you hold so dear, because you use the mind to deal in concepts, you have been unable to let new learning have its effect. This is because you believe your mind is in control of what it thinks. You believe in a process of input and output, all completely human and scientifically provable. The birth of an idea is thus the result of what has come before, of seeing something old as new, of improving on a former idea, of taking various information and collecting it into a new configuration. He stops us here. He says, in my former teachings of this concept of symbolism, I have described to you and shared with you, my brothers and sisters, that everything you see is a symbol, and the Christ consciousness is the power of your will. That's what it is, the gift of grace that flows like the ebb and flow of the ocean tide is the grace that flows through you. You do not need to feel worthy to receive it because it is you. It is there in its essence. The Spirit is the guide. In the Christian religions, you've called this Spirit Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost. You've called it many things, yet it is indescribable and not touchable, intangible. Beyond label, beyond teaching, you can't learn Spirit. You can only feel it. Yet the mind creates concepts that are anti-feeling. They shield the feeling that the Spirit activates. You can become initially aware that grace is present, and then the mind goes, stop, who's looking? What, the boss, the partner, the parents? What is culture going to say? I'll save this for later. I'll save Spirit for later, is what you say. After work, after I had this important conversation with my loved one, after the driving, after the errands, after the dishes and the laundry and the taxes and the stuff that the world continues to create. And it's not that those concepts are important. It's just that they are the background chatter that holds up the structure of your logical scientific concepts, and you have confused their function for survival and worth. So you seek them in the way that I wish for you to seek God. You seek them because you've been told that these concepts that create such structures will bring you happiness. If I just achieve that, do that, get this done, I'll feel complete, I'll feel better, and I'll feel happy. And then you're not. Today, I beseech you, I call to you from the depths of the Christed essence within me, I plead with you to listen to that small, still, quiet voice. Perhaps it's not quiet anymore. Perhaps it yells at you from inside. Perhaps it's no longer comfortable at this stage for you to pretend that those concepts are food to nourish you or make you happy and whole. And when you feel this level of discomfort, this is similar to the baby bird breaking out of its egg. That's uncomfortable. The child coming out of mother's womb, that's uncomfortable. That's a struggle, and you don't like the struggle, and it's so tempting to the mind to say, whew, just avoid that, right? Don't do that. Let's just stay in here. I urge you today, come out, breathe the fresh air, spread your wings, fly a little. And if you feel that you're just coming out of that egg and you don't know how to fly, allow Spirit to be your wings. If you feel that you will fall, my hands are there to hold you. It's now. This is the time. This is the moment. Moving on to 3.11, it says, what has this meant for learning that is not of this world? It means that you filter it through the same lens. You think of it in the same way. You seek to gather it together so that it will provide an improvement to what has been before. You look for evidence, and that shows that if you behave in a certain way, that things will happen as a result. Like a child learning not to touch a stone because it is hot and a burn will result, or learning that a warm blanket is comforting, you subject it to 1,000 tests depending on your senses and your judgment. While you believe you know what will hurt you and what you will find comforting, you subject what cannot be compared to the comparable. He stops us here and says, you can't understand this before you realize it. The mind can't grasp what it has never known, and therefore it says it's unsafe. It says it's bad. It says it's sinned. It says it's wrong. It says many things, all based upon what something prior has taught it. And that something is from the limited, measurable learning that your mind can perceive when it is also functioning in a limited facet. This wisdom that I share today is unlimited, unperceivable, unlearnable, unknowable. And I share this not to discourage you, but to provide relief that you cannot take the course from the mind, because the mind has a limited measuring system, because it is limited. You can take the course from the heart and let the Spirit be the door. You can give me your burdens that your minds have created, your fears, your doubts, your worst criticisms and judgments towards yourself, the world, and others. And this course will consume them. You see, when you have pain, You wish to bypass it or thwart it or toss it away, and you believe that oneness teachings will do that for you. These teachings don't make the pain of the world go away. They cause you to feel beyond suffering, so that you find the illuminating light of love within all things, and then you no longer receive suffering. You may perceive it, and you may provide a source of compassionate help for it, but you will not become it, and it will not consume you. Your mind will consume the challenge of your thought, and it will seek the love within it. It will consume an energy until it finds the love buried within the pain, you see. Let's go on to 3.12. It says, you think not that your mind, as you conceive of it, learns without comparison. Everything is true or false, right or wrong, black or white, hot or cold, based solely on contrast in the mind. One chemical reacts one way and one reacts another, and it is only in the study of the two that you believe learning takes place. He stops us here and he says, this is what the mind does. Have you noticed that you carry this even into spiritual concepts? When you finally realize oneness, the mind likes to interject. It comments upon it. It compares it with everything that it has known from the past and says, this feels good for the moment. I don't know if it's true, but it feels good for the moment. So you're allowed to taste it a little until it isn't convenient for you anymore. Have you noticed how the mind measures and continues to attempt to measure, to attempt to judge, even what it cannot fathom? Our job is not to make the mind stop doing that. The mind has a certain function in the world. The mind is not meant to be stopped. You can't stop something that's functioning in its own way. If you want a car to drive properly on a roadway, the engine must run. The mind works with the body and attempts to be helpful towards the body's measuring device. And this is helpful in your world, not harmful. We're not seeking to eliminate mind or body. If that were the case, you would not have the Christ consciousness that is given to you as freely as grace. The Christed consciousness is the power of your choice, which is always present. However, when you awaken and you feel a strong emotion, you cease the mind's ramblings of judgments that are there, like a churning engine in the background going wrong, 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 feels bad, unsafe, unloving. Or perhaps it says, you'll never reach that, you're not good enough. That's a common one. And the mind says, oh, you may as well stop here, this is getting too hard. It will say many things, just let it say what it's saying. In the same way that upon nightfall you observe the insects in the grass, chirping and humming, rubbing their legs together, and you can perceive it as a loving cacophony of sound. Some may even perceive it as a symphony. When you judge your mind for its activity, you will call it chaos. When you release judgment of the mind and just recognize and honor its function, you will call it nothing. As we have attempted to share with you about the other organs in the human system, the liver has a function and you are not identified with it. When it's cleansing your blood, you're not stopping to say, I can't feel good right now because the liver is cleansing the blood. When the pancreas is told by the brain to increase insulin or decrease, you don't stop to say, That's too much. Stop that. Because you hold no identification with your pancreas. The mind will continue, and you simply perceive it like a cycle of thought, coming and going and coming and going, like the chirping of the insects in the grass upon nightfall. When you realize love, you will perceive it as beautiful, and you will recognize that it is also not who you are. The crickets aren't who you are. Yet you recognize the beauty of the chirping in the background, the relentless chirping, the beauty of it. It's a symphony. And it is just there, beautifully, the insects chirping away, creating music in the background for your amusement, your joy. It's the same with the mind. It just continues forth. We don't even make attempts to stop it, you see. I love you.